Our next guest is a victim of stalking herself. Laura Richards is an award-winning criminal behavioral analyst who's an expert on stalking, founder of Paladin, the world's first national stalking advocacy service. Thanks very much for coming on the program. Appreciate it. What do you make of this situation with Taylor Swift?
Well, I think it's a very dangerous and scary situation that needs to be taken seriously. And David Crowe will no doubt have a history. And that's why it's so important to look at a stalker's history, because normally they don't just start behaving like this in their third or fourth decade of life. So it's really important. You mentioned some form of competency assessment. He actually needs a psychiatric assessment, and that psychiatrist or psychologist must be trained in stalking to understand his psychopathology and what's driving and motivating his behavior, so they can diagnose him and then risk manage him.
You know, because at some points I saw the idea that he was emotionally disturbed as almost being something where people were apologizing. Well, you know, he's emotionally disturbed. Instead, I'm thinking that makes him that much more potentially dangerous.
Spot on, Dan. And that's the problem. Oftentimes, people feel a form of sympathy. Think about Dr. Amy Harwick. I mean, she had been stalked over a number of years. And even at the murder trial, Dr. Amy Harwick was murdered by the stalker. The defense lawyers talked a lot about he had to deal with these big emotions because she rejected him. And he had these big emotions. Well, it can lead to murder. And the most serious thing happening, we've seen it with Christina Grimmie, we've seen it with Rebecca Schaefer. And the whole point is with stalking, you want to get in early to be able to look at the history, not 30 times when someone's turning up and 10 times trying to breach your security and get to you.
This is a former Nickelodeon actress, Miranda Cosgrove, talking about her stalker incident.
I got a call at like 3 in the morning that somebody had like died at my house. We figured out he was back there for like 6 hours or something, like waiting. And then somebody drove up that had a similar car, like that kind of looked like my car, and I guess he got confused and he thought that maybe it was me driving up. It's just like bad luck. And he like shot at this person like 6 times and he missed because she was in a car. She drove away. And then he set himself on fire and he shot himself.
Okay, so that guy harmed himself. I think there's more of a concern of these people harming others. What do you think, if you were asked to testify in connection with this guy, Crowe, who's now been at Taylor Swift's house apparently 30 times, what would you be saying needs to be done?
Well, I'd want to know about his whole history. He does have a conviction for a misdemeanor. And the problem is, Dan, when people say it's a misdemeanor, it sounds like something minor. And when you've got a perpetrator charged with stalking in the 4th degree or the 3rd degree, it's treated as a misdemeanor. And it's only when it's stalking in the 1st or the 2nd in New York that it's seen as serious, that it's a felony crime. But by then it's too late because someone's been seriously harmed. So I think we really have to start to think about prevention. That women shouldn't have to live like this, absolutely terrified and terrorized by a man behaving in this way. And we have to think about that preventative side and to take it seriously. It's National Stalking Awareness Month. You know, it's really important NYPD are trained on stalking and that the legislation is updated and modernized to reflect current day of what's going on for women and male violence towards them.
Yep. Well, Laura, thank you very much for your expertise. Appreciate it. I'm so sorry about what you had to go through, but I appreciate everything you're now doing to try to help others.